911, what's your emergency?
More than 3,000 people, they were released from prison and halfway houses across the country.
More dramatic video today at the Laken Riley murder trial. Prosecutors say that's the suspect, an undocumented migrant hunting for women before he found and attacked nursing student Laken, who was out on her morning jog.
Laken Riley was the light of her parents' lives, a bright, bubbly child with a future full of promise. But now, her laughter has been silenced forever. Her life wasn't lost to illness or an unavoidable tragedy. It was stolen, and the blame falls squarely on broken policies that sacrificed her safety.
She's my daughter. Okay, let's step up here. Come on, let's go. Come over here, all right?
I don't want to tell you yes or no because I don't have names. I don't know who anybody is. This is a pretty serious incident.
Jose Ibarra, a repeat offender with a history of violence, should have been behind bars long before he encountered Laken. Yet he was arrested, released, and rearrested. A dangerous cycle that could have been stopped, but it wasn't. Why? Because the administration's reckless policies dismantled law and order, prioritizing criminals over victims. Under the current administration, policies disguised as reforms have fundamentally altered our justice system. Harris's push for eliminating cash bail was painted as a step toward equity.
The new system means suspects in certain crimes will either be cited or booked, then released for $0. Under the agreement, they show up to their day at court.
Biden's executive orders claim to address a systemic injustice, but what they really did was create a revolving door for violent offenders.
Last year, the United States had one of the lowest rates of all violent crimes in more than 50 years.
Looks like Joe Biden has been caught cooking the books on America's crime crisis. Dems and the media hyping crime stats from the Bureau, which show that murder and violent crime are down.
The fact is, I don't care if you think I'm Satan reincarnated.
Dangerous criminals like Jose Ibarra became test subjects in their ideological experiment, and it cost Laken Riley her life. They told us these policies were about compassion. Compassion for whom? Certainly not for Laken. These changes weren't just mistakes. They were deliberate decisions. Decisions to eliminate cash bail, turning courtrooms into rubber stamps for release orders. Decisions to gut immigration enforcement, allowing Ibarra, an illegal immigrant with a history of violence, to slip through the cracks. Reimagine justice, they said. Is this the world they imagined? A system that protects criminals and abandons victims? Harris can laugh during interviews, but Laken's parents are left to grieve. Biden promised his reforms would make us safer, but for whom? Certainly not for families like the Rileys. This isn't an isolated incident. Across the country, families are grieving because their loved ones became collateral damage in the name of progress. Each release order for repeat offenders like Ibarra is another gamble. A gamble with innocent lives. And every time, it's ordinary families who pay the price. They said these policies would overwhelm the system, tie their hands, and embolden criminals. But their voices were drowned out by political narratives. This administration dismissed those concerns and doubled down on their agenda, leaving communities across the nation to face the fallout. We've seen the results of these policies: a surge in violent crime, shattered families, and communities left in fear. And still, this administration refuses to admit its failure. Instead, they continue to defend their approach, leaving the rest of us to deal with the consequences. Laken Riley should have grown up in a safe community, free from fear. But that dream was stolen, not just by Jose Ibarra, but by a system that enabled him. A system built on reckless policies that prioritize ideology over safety. This isn't just a story about one family's tragedy. It's a wake-up call for a nation. How many more innocent lives must be lost before we demand accountability? It's time to reject the policies that put criminals first and fight for a justice system that protects the people it was meant to serve. Justice for Laken. Justice for all.